Because of chapter 1044, there's been a lot of talk recently about Luffy and his devil fruit. So what we're going to do is analyze every single one of his gears and his awakening in this video. We thought that Luffy had a paramecia in the Gumma Gumma no Mi, but he actually has a mythical zoan devil fruit, the sun god model Nika. So that's pretty interesting. Luffy, he went from being a nobody to a god, and so I want to talk about it. I think it's very interesting to say. Technically, I guess you could say he has 5 gears, but we only talk about 4 of them because, you know, the first gear is your base form, or where you start out, so it's not really that impressive, but we'll talk about that today. If you guys enjoy regular anime content, then make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. And with that out of the way, my name is Potential Unleashed, and here is everything we know about Luffy's gears so far. Luffy's first gear is his base form. Without his devil fruit, you could say Luffy is very physically strong and fast. He's been showcased to be able to break concrete, push walls aside, dodge light speed attacks in base form. And I'm not going to mention much post time skip, especially with Luffy going against Kaido. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, Luffy did in his base form. Yeah, but how much of that is Conqueror's coding attacks and Haki and stuff like that? So I don't want to incorporate it to his first or his base form. That's a little bit separate. He has rubber attacks, which involve stretching himself, and his most famous attack includes the Gumma Gumma no Pistol. However, he also uses the rifle, the rocket, the Gatling, and many more attacks. The next gear is gear second. It was introduced in chapter 387. How this works is Luffy speeds up the blood flow in his body, making him stronger and faster, and this was a great boost because we saw how much stronger and how much faster it made him. It made him fast enough to keep up with Soru and strong enough to keep up with the Iron Body. And to put that in perspective, before that, even though they kind of caught Luffy lacking a little bit off guard, he wasn't able to keep up with Rob Lucci, Luna, and other members of CP9 before he got this power up. And this uses Luffy's oxygen, so this makes him very hungry, and he burns a lot of energy doing so, which is why he's always out of breath or tired a little bit after he uses this gear. He's constantly emitting steam as well, which makes sense because the blood flow speeding up. He has a little bit of a pink tint to him, so his body is going to be hotter than normal. And you can equate this to, I guess you could say, basically doping. We know in the pre-time skip that Luffy would have to get down and put his hand down and pump it through his body, through his legs. However, post-time skip, Luffy's trained it where he can pump using gear second through multiple parts of his body, as displayed using it through his hands and through his legs as well. And so the attacks that he used, they have a boost, and he calls them jet before he names his attacks, like jet pistol, jet gatling, etc. And I want to talk about the Red Hawk, but I'm gonna wait till we get to a later gear to go a little bit more in detail about that. With the gear third, it was first introduced in chapter 421. This is where Luffy bites into his bone and he creates a muscle balloon. Specifically, he bites into his finger. It makes him the size of a giant. However, he can transfer the air that he blows throughout his body, picking which place he wants to utilize it. This form is to use power over speed, and pre-time skip Luffy, he would shrink whenever he used it. However, post-time skip Luffy doesn't have that drawback, and he uses the prefix giant before his attack, so he'll have a giant pistol, giant axe, giant whip, etc. Now, gear fourth, it does have a couple applications. The first one is Bowman. It was kind of introduced in 2 chapters. We got the first mention of it in chapter 783. However, I believe at that time I wasn't reading One Piece, but Oda, he went on break, and then we didn't get to see the form until the next chapter in 784. He coats himself in Haki, and then he blows into his muscles, a little bit different than blowing into his bones. He distributes his air just like gear third. However, it emphasizes his upper half of his body. The Haki, it gives him tattoos, and he's constantly emitting steam like he would be in gear second. It enhances his speed and durability a lot. Maybe not to the level, I guess, of well, it's faster than Gear second, but it's more balanced, I'd say. I'd say his techniques, they're similar, or they emit based off of the Bane no Mi, which, if you guys don't know what that is, that's Bellany's fruit. Not fruit, his fruit. So it focuses on compressing before his attacks, hence why he's faster and stronger. He can also change directions mid-attack, specifically an attack called Culverin, but we'll talk about that a little bit more with Snake Man. He keeps the rubber properties of his body, however, he does have the hardness of hockey. He has the Kong gun, the Leo bazooka, and he also has an attack called the King Kong gun, where he blows into his muscle even more to make that attack bigger. It's his most powerful attack. And the one drawback about this is once Luffy runs out of Gear 4, he can't use hockey for 10 minutes. The next application we have is Gear 4. Tank Man was first introduced in chapter 842. This is basically Gear 4th Bound Man, just the stuffed version. We saw it against Cracker, how Luffy ate a lot and he went Gear 4. This is his most durable form, where he's been showcased to even be able to tank piercing attacks. And we know Luffy struggles against attacks with sharp edges, and this will probably never see this again. I think this was just an exclusive form to Whole Cake Island. The last application of Gear 4th we have is Snake Man, introduced in chapter 849 or 894 and 859, similar to how it was in with Boundman. It was introduced in one chapter and we didn't get to see the form to the very next one. This one is a more sleek version, and it prioritizes speed and agility to go against faster and more agile opponents. Example, Katakuri, who is fast and could see into the future as well. And so going back to when I said talk about Culverin, we know it bends around and it attacks. However, with Python and using Snake Man, it accelerates faster the more Luffy stretches. Now with this form, durability, it does go down. However, he incorporates this form with Future Sight well because it prioritizes speed the best. And so he has Snake Name attack, for example, the Black Mamba, the Python, and the King Cobra. The last thing we're going to talk about, Luffy's Awakening / his Gear 5th. This was introduced in chapter 1044, and there's something I have to explain before I go back. It grants him rubber-like properties, increased strength, increased freedom, and it's said that the user is only limited by his imagination. Now, this is important because when you look at Luffy's previous gears and some of his attacks, for example, the Soru, after Luffy saw it, he was able to imagine it because he's seen it, and he was able to implement that into his Gear 2nd, which is why he's so fast. And the same with the Red Hawk. He wanted a memento for Ace, so he was able to visualize Ace doing the his Fire Fist. And so Luffy, since he wanted a memento to him, imagine him being able to do it, which hence why we can kind of understand how Luffy was able to use the Red Hawk. At first we thought it was like combustion and the speed of Luffy was doing it, and that might still be true. However, it's probably because his Devil Fruit focuses on imagination, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It's the only awakened gear. I do want to mention that. And so two properties that we're questioning whether Luffy has is imagination manifestation, or cartoon-like effect / tune force. And so what I want to mention is how this works is Luffy, he can't just like pull out a gun and imagine it. No, it has to be either something that he's seen, something that he's experienced, or it has to be something that he can think up, imagine, and it's compatible with his body. So yeah, if Luffy just wanted to create a nuke, he couldn't just do that. It has to in some way, shape, or form incorporate rubber, or incorporate something that he can do that does not physically limit him. And so the thing that I've seen a lot of people in the community talk about is how Luffy has Toon Force. And so when you think of Toon Force, think of characters in cartoons, specifically, I guess you could say Popeye, Bugs Bunny, and The Mask. They basically can create any weapon imaginable. They can manipulate bodies in ways that can stretch, can blow, get bigger, stuff like that. It's hard to physically hurt them, so they're pretty durable, and they're immune to a lot of attacks. And so also that they affect the world around him. And this was displayed in chapter 1044, how Luffy, his arms got really big. He looked like Popeye. He was laughing. You saw his eyes pop out like he was in a cartoon. He also bounced back Kaido's blast breath from picking up the ground, where you could say it could be that he bounced it off of the ground like he turned it into rubber. So those are just some speculation that the community have about Luffy's Gear 5th and his awakening. But that's all I have for you. This is everything we know about Luffy's gears, and I'm pretty happy about it. Luffy, he looks pretty cool. His gears are interesting. It's an interesting power-up that makes sense in my opinion, and I love them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video, and let me know what your guys' favorite gear is in the comment section below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.